it's okay. Whenever you're ready, we can get it going.
You know me pretty good with the timing. All right.
Pretty good.
That's I got that one too, Joe. I got that one too.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a big me. Let's give both of us. Cheers, brother. Back. I got you again.
Hello.
Cheers.
Yeah. Hello. Let me just a very quick sound check on the stream.
Yep. Do we got you? Check, making sure we got the right audio.
Working. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Seems to be working. Since we don't have, a huge audience to, to check, we have to check ourselves. But I see our friend Mo already.
Yeah, he's back. He's back.
Mo, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, he is back. He's back in the act. He's got the podcast on the side, right? Always supporting podcasts on the side, toggling between whatever other big activities he's got going on Thursday night. Hopefully not any self-driving into any other cars.
Exactly.
I saw that on the news, Joe. I literally saw an article. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, so my bad. You froze for a second. I was going to say, I saw on the news some Tesla's full self-driving car rear-ended another car while it was driving itself. And the title was like, "Who's at fault?" I don't know if that's kind of an interesting question when you talk about AI. Mark. Who's responsible for the wreck and the insurance?
Yeah. Well, people like to blame, right? And there's always the victim. Oh my God, this is a difficult word for me. But there's always the other side, and people like to blame. I don't know, man. That's a very interesting topic. Who is at fault?
Yeah.
Because if there was a problem with Tesla itself, the car would be at fault. But then all the blaming on the news and people talking shit about it, that I don't like.
Yeah, no doubt.
They like to showcase what happened, the worst that happens, but they don't showcase the benefits of it, right?
Yeah, that's very true.
Which is there. There's a lot of benefits.
I think there'll be all sorts of benefits. And in the chat, it says it's Elon's fault. I don't disagree. I think that self-driving could be better than what it is. I don't. Hey, he's now the. I don't know if you saw the memes floating around, but now he's the president of Doge, the what is it? Department of Government Efficiency.
Dogecoin.
No, the similar meme letters.
Oh, not Dogecoin.
See, exactly. Yeah, he's Trump appointed him like the Department of Department of Government and Efficiency, the Department Office of Government Efficiency. I don't some craziness, but I thought that was pretty interesting. That it was the acronym spelled out Doge, and he's I'm sure their stock's flying right now.
Oh yeah, so I don't have Tesla stocks, but because in Brazil, my current my stocks are still in Brazil. So in Brazil we have something that it's called BDR, which translating it's similar to a stock, but essentially there is a private financial company or enterprise that buys the actual Tesla shares or whatever shares from the US, and then they resell those in our currency, right? So when we buy, we are not buying the actual share, we are buying something in the middle. But it fluctuates similarly to the actual stock. So I have these BDRs, Brazilian Depository DR, I don't remember. But I noticed lately that they skyrocketed.
Oh yeah.
So I'm happy with that.
That's good. Yeah,
I have some of them.
It's
not much.
Yeah, I saw people post stuff about that. Yeah, and I noticed too in the chat they mentioned you're lagging a little bit. It's more than usual. I don't know if it's I know we were testing out StreamYard earlier, but a little bit of a lag on your end.
I closed the StreamYard. Yeah. And I noticed as well that you are waiting for some time to hear me. So yeah, there's some lag. Let me see if there is anything I can do on my side.
You should have given or maybe you did. Maybe you gave your laptop a beer before you hopped on. Now it's being kind of weird. But no, I think that a lot of that stuff with the investments, obviously the stock market, if you read anything about the news with stocks, it went crazy as soon as the information came out that Trump was like president-elect or whatnot, right? But obviously some of that stuff is course corrected, but I'm not the kind of guy who has lots and lots of money tied up into stocks that's going to benefit massively, right? Even you think Bitcoin, I'm glad it went up to $80,000, right? But I mean, unless you had, hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in it, then you really wouldn't have saw much gain just because it went from 50 to 80. I mean, even if you had one coin, now you're 20, 30K richer, which yeah, that's some good money, but at the end of the day, it's not, 20 or 30K is not like, hey, I'm leaving my job and I'm, quitting work forever and I'm moving to the country. It's not quite that kind of money.
Well, I don't have much money, not even stocks, not on anywhere. So I have very, very little money left back home on some shares.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's all about timing.
If I have, yeah, dude, I think maybe I should rejoin the call because even on the stream I see myself lagging a lot.
Yeah,
what do you think?
Yeah, sure. Drop off real quick. Drop back on. It's not like connecting and disconnecting is gonna throw a wrench in our conversation. We'll pick right up where we left off. And that way, you are like 3-bar too, because I can see in the Video Ninja looks like some like low connection. Yeah, feel free to join. I'll add you back in. In the meantime,
okay.
Let me see what I got. while he joins in. We got all sorts of tracks. Let's try this. And after this, I'll probably be hopping on some of the newly released Call of Duty. Now I wonder if I can. There we go. All right. All right, good. So it hasn't switched. And I can reset him without changing. I'm learning this thing. Yeah, they got Black Ops 6 dropped, the new Warzone integration, and their new Resurgence map. Area 99 or Project 99 or Area 9, I can't remember what it is. But I much more enjoy playing a Resurgence game mode than traditional Warzone for the fact that, you know, my teammates can respawn on their own without me having to buy them back. Oh man, he's back, and you look greater than ever. You look lag free. Did you also restart your PC as well, or did you just quickly join? At least from the at least from the stream perspective, the camera that you had was, I had like reset up in case I had to like re-add you to the stream, but it looks like you're good. Yeah, awesome. You're not freezing. You don't look pixelated. You kind of maybe look a little pixelated in my chat room, but on the stream in OBS, you look normal. You look normal, and that's what matters. So, but anyway, I was just telling the group that I had plans to play some Call of Duty Black Ops 6, their new one of their new maps. So they dropped a new game a weeks ago. So I've been playing it, you know, a lot in my evening time. When they drop a new game, I like to pick it up and I like to learn the new mechanics. And so I really enjoy kind of like, and this one had a bunch of movement changes where you're just a lot faster. You slide around, and I was kind of excited. So I've been playing it, getting to learn it. And then now their first season 1 just dropped, and they got like a new map and new guns. So I'm trying to, you know, figure that stuff out later. Because one of these groups that I'm a part of, a community, is like a veterans community, and they like vet people who used to be in the military, and they get together and they play like Call of Duty, and they were hosting like a tournament on this new map in like a couple of weeks, and you have to be a veteran to play. And I was like, I'll play. So I'll play with one of my buddies and get better, so maybe I can win a free jersey. But anyway, I got definitely off on tangent.
Yeah. I used to play Call of Duty like 18 years, 20 years ago.
Yeah, when it first came out then.
On my PC. Yeah. How was it called? The Call of Duty?
That was the first one.
Actually, it was Counter-Strike.
Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike. Yeah. So that's another military shooter, but kind of different. But that's Counter-Strike is a massively popular game, right? That's like they have an esports league, and they play all over the country, and there's big prize pools, and definitely a cool game. I like to be able to run around like a chicken with their head cut off, just crazy, right? I'm an RNG, like run and gun, they call it, like RNG player. I just like to just fly around and run, like my forward button's broken. And Counter-Strike, like you got to be very strategic, right? It's all decision making, and you know exactly when you peak, and so it's not my kind of.
I don't remember. For me, as far as I can remember, was just getting a gun and shooting everywhere, killing people. So yeah, I don't remember too much. I'm not a gamer.
Yeah.
Not at all. I do have a PS5, right back of the, on the side of the TV. I've been playing around, but I just chill for 20 minutes and then I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't have any games that I am addicted to. I don't play too much.
That's good.
But
what about mobile?
This is something that I have to watch myself.
Oh, right? Yeah. I remember you talking about it.
I don't have any games on my phone.
Okay.
Well, we talk about a couple of times because I watch myself, right? I have to get away from this, otherwise I get addicted. So if I install any game on my phone, I will be just playing too much time, time that I don't want to spend doing that.
Yeah,
And
no
here
doubt.
on my PS5, I don't have any that interesting games, because if I do, I would probably play more than I wanted.
Yeah.
And I just don't want. So see, I kind of, it was kind of shocking when I saw on the report that I had spent 60 or 70 hours playing Jedi, and I thought, oh my god, that's way too much time, and I don't like that.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's all in the kind of what you do, right? Everybody has their own thing, and I do. I know that I can get excessive too, especially when it comes to like when new Call of Duties come out. Like my wife knows at this point. Thank God, she's so amazing and such an amazing person that she knows I enjoy playing this, so she doesn't give me a hard time very often. But she knows when like a new Call of Duty comes out, like the day it drops, like she's like, all right, see you tomorrow. Like she doesn't even, she'll be asleep. But we're different, right? She's that person, like early riser, like no matter what, she's like up super early and just getting things going. And I'm the night owl, right? I'm up and I can't sleep. Like I don't go to bed before midnight. Like I just don't. I don't know if it's everything that's going on, but like at midnight, if I go to bed midnight, usually like something's happened. Either I'm sick or I'm pissed off or, yeah. If I usually go to bed around 1 or 2 in the morning, usually, around that time, pretty consistently.
Oh no, man. For me, 9 p.m. I am already dead.
Yeah.
I am done 9 p.m. You remember that day we did an episode at 11 p.m.?
Yeah.
I was almost passed away. Seriously, because I wake up. I am like your wife. I wake up very early.
Yeah.
6 something. I am up. So I do my chores. I work.
Yep.
I have I have a side project, so I work very early in the morning. But then when it's 8:30, 9 p.m., I am done.
You're done.
I'm ready to go.
I have some friends that are like that. Like even my gaming buddies, right?
Dude.
They don't. One of my friends, he's at midnight when it's like Cinderella. Like when the clock strikes midnight, that dude's done gaming. Like especially on a weekday. He's got some kids like I do, but
Cinderella.
Yeah, no, he's like, dude, I'm done. Like, and he'll make jokes when it's getting late, like starting to get late. Like, what time is it? And it'll be like 11:30, and I'm like, you sissy, it's only 11:30. You better. But no, but it's hard. I mean, I game with the same small group of people. We've been doing it for years, and
that's awesome.
Depending on like the only problem is with the military move and my wife and moving around everywhere. They've always been in Texas, sometimes on the East Coast, and like I'm there like 8, and they're like, oh, it's super late. Like they don't even get on till 10 p.m. my time or 11 p.m. my time, and I'm like, dude, I don't want to start my game at 11 and I get like an hour in, and then I'll be on the other coast, and it'll be like 10 o'clock my time when I'm in Washington, and they'll be like, dude, it's so late here. I'm like, it's not even that late. So it's been a struggle, but through the years, we still hook it up.
Awesome. Hey, I'm noticing that my video is lagging, my audio is still lagging. So if you just want to close not close, but you changed. So now it's better.
Yeah,
I'll give me what's happening. I'm not going to restart my computer. So let's just keep going.
Yeah, we'll do.
Good days,
I'll make it
tiny.
Days, yeah,
today's a bad day for my computer.
Yeah, it happens. That's technology for you, though, dude. I learned that a long time ago building computers. There'd be things that I would do and absolutely nothing would fix it. Like I would do something, and then I just turn it off and turn it back on, and it just works. Like some computers and electronics and binary ones and zeros, they don't always seem to make sense. To be honest, that's the truth.
Exactly. But I see some light on the end of this tunnel because my computer, I told you my computer is a shitty computer.
It's seen better days.
Right. I need to replace this and it's long due. I was talking to my wife. I need a new computer. So I'm going to leverage the Black Friday this month.
Nice.
Right? So in a couple of weeks, we have Black Friday. Yeah, I'm going to replace, and I'm going to get I'm going to get a machine, and I'm going to
Do
get a
it.
real computer.
Yeah, Mo.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I was trying to think. Mo, like, he had just did some upgrades on his computer. I can't remember what he changed out on it, but yeah, he definitely had done some upgrades after quite some time. And then that other buddy, he just went out.
yeah.
He just went out and got a new Alienware because he wanted. But he's different. Like, he's kind of a gamer. He doesn't play the games I play. He plays like Quake and different kinds of stuff. But he just went out and got himself a new computer for work and for game and stuff. But
Yeah. That's nice.
you'll definitely be happy with whatever you get. I think the first time I've always been into kind of building PCs. Like when VR first came out, like I went and I built myself a VR rig with one of my roommates at the time, and that was really cool. And that kind of gave me a taste for doing it. But I mean, I had to put it in perspective. I had like a 1080 Super, and that's like a graphics card. And if anybody's knows graphics cards, they'll know how long ago you had to how long ago it was that 1080 Supers were like the graphics card for and used for VR. But anyway, when you go, but the reason I mentioned that is because going from like that old PC when the first time I like upgraded, like that thing was way past its sell date, and I used that. But when I first upgraded, it was just so nice. Something about the new computer when you're first using it, and it's just like so fast and everything works well. I can't wait.
Yeah. I remember my first computer was back in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I bought it, and it was kind of a partnership between myself and my brothers. I have other two brothers. It was so expensive back then. I couldn't buy it myself. So we got money. We made an arrangement, 1/3 of the computer for each one of us. And we bought it. Yeah.
Dude.
It was a really old desktop. You can imagine, right? Back in 2003, the type of computers we had.
Oh yeah.
But I remember I could play Counter-Strike, I could play Need for Speed, I could play some other games, but the internet was just, oh my God, the dial-up internet, 56 kilobytes.
Oh my God, I remember, bro.
So nostalgic.
It's so funny because the very first laptop I got, I was in Korea. I was in Korea, and we were about to deploy to Iraq, and I wanted to have a laptop to take with me. They're like, dude, you're gonna be so bored out of your mind if you don't even have a computer while you're over there. And right before we deployed, I downloaded the first Call of Duty that you were mentioning. It was only on PC, and that's where I got my start in gaming. But I remember like that you could play like locally, right? We did like a little LAN, so we had like connected, and we would play that. We played some. I want to say it was SEALs. There's like a Navy SEALs game. SOCOM. We played SOCOM. We played Rainbow Six, Ghost Recon. But then it was funny because after that deployment was over and we got back, I went on my second deployment, and we were about to deploy, and we did exactly what you and your friends did, Joe. The new Xbox 360 had just come out. And none of us were all broke privates. None of us had any money to go and buy an Xbox ourselves. So what we decided to do was that we'd all like chip in. Like one of us we split the Xbox 3 ways because we had enough money to do that. And then we all each had to buy our own controller. And then we bought one game, which was Call of Duty 2, I think it was. And we like split the cost of that. And the crazy thing about it is like we bought this thing like 3 months before we deployed. And somehow when we deployed, I'm the one that ended up getting to take it with me. So even though my buddies like chipped in it for months, we played it before we deployed. When we finally went on the deployment, I was the one that had the Xbox. And they weren't with me, so they didn't have the Xbox. I think they kept their controllers or whatnot. But we went in on, how did it end up with the computer that you guys had? Somebody had to end up with it, or did you guys share it for that whole time, or how long did you guys share it?
Well, they were not my friends; they were my brothers, right? So then it was this. I think in the end, we kind of made another arrangement. My brother may have bought it from me, and
okay.
my share of the computer went back to him, and then he owned the whole thing. So yeah, back then we would do a lot of arrangements between the brothers, right?
Yeah.
We would buy something and then resell to another brother, and then we would just,
Side deals.
nobody could afford to pay in full, right? So
Yeah.
we would do installments for 12, 24, 36, payments, whatever that we needed, we would do to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very common, like buying, and that goes from small things
Mm-hmm.
to bigger things like cars or motorcycles.
Yeah.
Right. My motorcycle, the last one that I had, I bought it from my brother, my
Nice.
oldest brother, and so we would do a lot of deals like this, and it was very common, and it was the way we found to help each other and to grow together and to
also
build
kind of,
things
I was gonna say,
together.
also it kind of keeps
That's
you from
what-
missing out, right? You don't miss out if you're able to kind of group it like that, right? Otherwise you can't get the PC, right? You can't get the motorcycle. So that's really cool.
Exactly. Yeah. At some point because I told you, right, I play the drums. I'm not a professional, not at all. I'm very bad drummer, I would say.
Yeah.
But at some point we would have a band. So I play the drums. One of my brother plays the bass, and the other one plays the guitar. So we were just missing a singer. So we found a friend of ours that were a singer. So we put this group together, and we were playing just for fun, right? But that was something we did for quite a long time, for a few years, and we were very close together, my brothers and I. So this is something that I miss here in Canada. I miss these opportunities to have the relationship, with them.
Yeah.
This is tough to be away, man.
I
think you know what I mean, because you've been away for a long time, right?
Yeah, no, so true. But I think that, from my perspective, part of me is jealous because I didn't have a brother. I had 3 sisters, so I don't have that kind of relationship, right? There's one guy that I kind of consider my brother. That's my actual brother-in-law, my wife's brother. And that's because for quite a few years, like, we lived together. Like, he'd moved from California and moved to Texas, and my wife and I had jobs in different cities, and so we were paying 2 rents, and we would both travel on the weekends. And he lived with me. Like, we just had an apartment together for years, and then eventually I moved out, and I got a remote job and worked just from my wife and I's apartment there. But outside of that, like, I don't have a brother that I've ever had a chance to really relate to. So I think that it's nice to hear that. And unfortunately, like, my sisters and I, like, I don't say unfortunately, some people might find it unfortunate, but we don't communicate like that, right? I don't talk to my sisters. Some people talk to their family or their siblings like daily, weekly, monthly. Like, I don't. Like, I talk to my sisters every few months through a text. Even my own mother, right? Some people talk to their mother, like my sister. Even my sister talks to my mom like every single day, but they live in like the same city. But I don't, right? I've just always been a renegade. I've always sort of been independent on my own and had to figure it out. I liked it originally when I was in the military. Go to a new city, you're just by yourself. You don't know anybody. And there's nobody there saying, hey, Joe, this is how you do things here. Here's how you get things done. And it's like, you just got a teenager, just got to go 18, 19, 20 years old, don't know anything about life, but just got to figure it out. So I think it's cool. Yeah, at least somebody you can, siblings that you can kind of relate to in that aspect.
Hey, but this this is funny because I'm listening to you talking about yourself and your relationships.
Yeah.
And I feel, man, we are so likewise. I think that's why we get along so well. Because yes, I do have this relationship with my brothers. I had, to be honest, right?
Yeah.
Because we were living together, we were living next to each other, but being away, like, it's just a different game, right? I don't
It
talk to
is.
them that often.
Yep.
I don't call them, and I see my wife, she calls her, especially her grandmother, but some
Yeah.
cousins as well, very, very often,
Mhm.
like 3, 4 times, 5 times a week.
Yeah. Yep.
And like you, I can go like a few months without even texting to my
Yeah.
brothers,
Yep.
to my mom,
That's
to my
me.
father. My father, I talk to him like 1 or 2 times a year,
Yeah.
and I'm not bragging about that. I this is something that I would like to be different. I
Yeah.
would like
Sure.
to have a closer relationship,
Mhm.
but it was just built different,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
My family didn't have that kind of relationship, right?
Yeah.
So
That has
it's
a lot
just
to do.
a different, it's a different way of living, right?
Yeah, that's like a different like culture too, right? I don't. You kind of you made that point very valid, and my wife says stuff about that. And when it comes to her family relationships, right? She says, I don't. We just weren't. We'll talk about a scenario, and she'll be like, we just weren't raised like that, right? Whatever it is, like let's say like some families as an example, they're the real huggy and lovey and touchy and feely kind of and like they never like her family didn't do that. They same with mine, like hugs and kisses and affirmation when you were a kid. It was if you didn't get slapped, when I was a kid, not that that's good, that's horrible, but that was the environment, the culture. As long as you didn't get smacked, that means you're doing a good job, right? But I don't know what a part of that has a good impact or a negative impact. But yeah, no, it's very interesting how these different dynamics play out. I wonder what universal culture says too about men and masculinity and about having to be independent and that kind of stuff. Do you think there's any common thread just amongst men in general where we feel like we don't need to be connected? Because I mean, I get it. You say, you'd like to have better relationships. I was the same way, right? I'll be personal and I'll be honest for a second. Like there was a point in my life with my mother, my own mother, where I didn't talk to her for years. Like I was going through some stuff in my personal life, and she kind of showed up she was at the wrong place at the wrong time, and she said the wrong words, and things just kind of went sideways from there. And I didn't talk to her. Yeah, I didn't talk to my own mother for years, and I took a good woman, my wife, who knows me, and basically at one point she's like, hey, it's just time. It's time to move on. Time to get over this. And now my mom and it was crazy. Like I hadn't talked, and I reached out to her finally after years, and we sparked up a conversation, and like less than like 6 months later we ended up meeting. I was back when I was with Jolt and my own consulting company, and I just happened to be in an area, and she drove like 2 hours to see me. We had lunch and a real touching like reunion. But I feel you, right? Before then I needed to talk to her more, like you were saying, but I hadn't done it. So back to my question, I kind of got sidetracked there. Do you think there's any commonality between society's sort of given, these impressions of what we're supposed to do and then how we act now, even regardless of what country you live in? Think there's similarities there?
You are asking regarding being a man,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think overall what I see, and here's a thought, from someone. I grew up in Brazil. I've moved to Canada, and Canada is a plethora of cultures, right? It's a
Mm-hmm.
Babylon. There's people from anywhere in the world,
Yeah.
and I opened up my mind quite a lot after I moved here to this place.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that overall, what people expect from men is being the macho man, right? And being the alpha leader for the family, and even on your relationships to your friends, you have to show, to demonstrate that you are masculine, and you are this figure, right? That
Yeah.
you don't fear anything. And so I just think that this kind of thought is so outdated, right?
Okay.
There's so many nuances in terms of what does it mean to be a man.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially after you become a father, right?
Yeah,
And it's so different. It's so
man,
it's
it's
hard to
true.
describe. And man, I don't, yeah, I don't fit on those qualifications. I would say if it to be a man means to be this kind of figure like that everybody is looking after. Like I'm not that, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like to be this very sensitive person, right? I
Hmm.
like to have feelings. I allow myself to have feelings,
That's
right?
great. Yeah,
To
you
cry
should.
watching movies with my daughter, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, no, dude. I too.
That's silly, but
No, dude. I think that's so poignant, right? That's a very valid point, and I think that to go off of what you're saying, right? Even growing up, I remember the negativity. Yeah, right. Normalizing men having feelings. I remember that was completely the opposite growing up, right? I remember. Literally give you an example. I was playing on a slip and slide, like those little watery things you run down, and like they have a little plug a hose in it,
yeah,
and it
yep.
sprinkles. I slipped on this thing because my sister was yelling something. I tried to stop, and I broke my collarbone on the spot. Like I flipped up, the whole flipped up, and I landed on my shoulder and snapped my collarbone. And I'm crying. I'm a kid. I'm like a teenage boy, young teenage boy, and like I'm crying. And they're like, dude, like my family motto was like, dude, stop being a whiny little bitch. Excuse my language, or like walk it off, you know. And like I wasn't even allowed to cry about my broken collarbone, and they didn't believe that it was like broken. I literally had a little league baseball game that afternoon. I went to it with a broken collarbone, barely able to even put my glove on my hand. I'm left, right-handed, so I put the glove on my left. And I remember we were warming up, and I'm out there, and I think I was like a center fielder, and they hit me a pop fly, and I'm trying to hold my arm up to catch this ball, and it hits my glove, and my arm falls, and it's just so painful. I leave the ball and the glove there, and I walk to the dugout. And my grandfather, who was a Navy veteran, he basically had to go chastise my parents. I'm like, what you guys can't see, he's obviously in pain, right? And he told my mother, like, take that kid to the hospital. And I had a broken collarbone. But that's the thing, right? Like, I remember as a child trying to express my emotions, and however pathetic of an expression it might have been, but I remember constantly getting dogged by it, right? Oh, yeah, sissy, or it's just, you're constantly fed this garbage about what it is to be a man, and not being able to have like your feelings and stuff. But I feel like it really sets us back, right? It teaches us from a early age to have the wrong mindset about emotions, right? And then it takes us years to, like you said, and I think I'm probably in the same boat. It almost takes becoming a father, or having to care for your own family members, actually take care of them, whether it's provide for bills or however you contribute to a family outside of just being a kid and the asset that just sucks out resources, right? But like any of that, thinking about yourself and supporting family members, like it just changes. You kind of forget about all that nonsense. But I agree. I think it's a problem. I think there's a big issue with society and what they taught men at an early age, and what to think or what to feel. So
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But man, it's awesome how we started this episode, and we just went totally outside of the technology spectrum, side of
yeah,
the core of the conversation. But I actually, I will ask your permission to just
do it.
change
Yeah,
subjects.
yeah. Swerve, hit the
Is
blinker.
it
Let's
fine?
go. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, no. As much as I like
Talk
to
about your
talk about
feelings.
it, anything and everything, yeah, I I was just, actually I came before we got it online. I was thinking about it, and I wanted to talk about this with you. Okay, let me grab my thoughts.
Hmm.
So the certifications, UiPath certifications, right?
Yes.
So, sorry, man, but I don't know. Today it's kind of weird with this lag. I see you have to wait a few seconds and then a couple of seconds, and then
It's like when you talk to somebody in the old school days about the over the phone, and you're like they're overseas and you have to wait for them to respond. And then you cut them off. No, I get it. I feel you totally, but we're good. We're fine. I'm not worried about it. You're doing great.
Okay, so we got a couple. I got a couple of vouchers, a few vouchers from Vibor, from the community, right?
Yeah.
To test the certifications, and I got it first, the AI's associated certificate.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. Like, it already helped me to learn more about AI and all these things, because and this is a good thing that the show is doing to me. I was very focused on the infrastructure side, because this is what I do daily, right? Day in, day out. This is what I'm doing. I'm not developing automations anymore. So yeah, I was kind of very site limited, right? On my vision.
Yeah.
And then as we started talking to more folks, we started talking between us. We started bringing other friends to the show, and everywhere we were talking about AI, and with the Forward conference as well. AI is everywhere.
Yes.
So I thought, okay, I have to, study a little bit.
Yep.
And I just started. I got the AI associated. That was awesome, and I felt very proud of myself.
That's good. Congratulations on that
too. Even being associated, right? Even being associated, thank you, associated certification, man, it's not that easy, right? You have to understand quite a lot of things to get it.
Yeah.
Well, the next move was, okay, let me go further. Now I'm going to the AI specialist.
Mm-hmm.
So I started working on that. I started studying, and I had the exam booked.
Yeah.
And I went for it. Last week, I believe. Yeah, last Friday. Man, I failed miserably. I failed so miserably,
bro.
And I knew it before I even started the exam that I would fail. But I went it anyway because I wanted to see how this would end up.
Yeah.
But it is so hard. It is so hard. People don't understand how hard it is, man, to get a certificate like that.
Give me your top. Yeah, no doubt. That's so crazy. So give me your top 3 takeaways, right? What are your 3 takeaways from having that experience?
Well, I can tell you right away. First, stud. Second, stud more. Third, stud even more.
That's it, man. That's what you got to do more, huh?
So, because UiPath, people may not realize, but UiPath isn't a tool; it's an ecosystem of so many tools, right?
Yeah.
And
what do you?
I
saw a question in the chat. How many hours do you think that you studied in preparation for that one?
Well, it depends how many hours of experience you have.
No, for you, to fail that miserably, how much did you put in?
Oh, well, at least like 40 hours, I would say.
Okay. So 40 hours ain't enough, you're saying.
No, it isn't enough. And this is from someone that has a lot of experience developing and a lot of experience with the platform, the ecosystem. Because if you go through the training program, because they have a specific training for this certification, it's like 80 or 90 hours of training. Half of that is basic automation development, right? So 35, 40 hours is basic development. So I just skipped all of that. I went through the document understanding.
I got that.
And yeah. Oh, I'm not gonna do basic development, right? I just skipped. But even still, right? It's so hard because I was focusing on document understanding
Yeah.
AI center,
Yep.
communications mining, task mining.
That's what they said to do.
And it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. Yeah. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, that's very tough, man.
Yeah. I think that's going to be part of my.
So
go ahead.
No, please go.
No, I was thinking too. I was like, I feel like one of the chapters in the book when we write it together, it's going to be about how great you are actually at automation, how much of a fraud I am because I haven't been certified in anything for since the version 2 of the software. And I was like, bro, that's what the thing too, right? I had to lean, even though I obviously can build a bot, right? I can pull up Studio, I can pull up Studio Web, and I can build automation, no problem. But when it comes to, truly being aware of the best activities to use, I'll never forget when I was in DC giving a training. And I mean, this is like me at the peak of my development of process engineering, like when I was using the tool every day. I mean, when they would post computer vision activities before they had the insider program and you could just figure out and download them when they were available in the private preview, I was doing all that stuff and trying it out. And I will never forget, I was getting this training, and it was the third day of the training, the third batch. And I was giving the training, and we're walking through the activities, and I'm step by step showing them exactly what they need to build. And there was something where we had to pick there was some free text fields, and then there was a pick list. And so I was telling them how to do what activities to use for a pick list. And some developers raised their hand, and she was like, should you be using this activity or shouldn't you be using this pick list activity? And I was like, pick list activity. And it was an act. And sure enough, she was her point. She was right. It's that absolutely the activity, but I didn't even know it existed. Right. I had no idea. I'd built a training material, missed an update, and here was this new activity they were already using. And I'm the one teaching the class, and I didn't even know about it. And I was like, yeah, bro, I don't have the time to be, locked in to be able to remember all this stuff. So part of the book will definitely be you and the story of how you're doing it and how your co-host was the biggest fraud because, he's using the Cobalt version of UiPath. It's the only one he ever built with.
Bro, I'm not gonna quote you because I don't remember exactly what you said, but essentially, remember when we were talking about AI and you said, "Oh, I watched a few videos about it just to sound like I know what I'm doing, but I don't know." So it's like that. I know roughly because of my development experience with other programming languages. So my career is almost 20 years, right? I may seem very young.
Yes, you are. And you look young too.
I shave my beard a little bit more younger, but I started almost 20 years ago. And I developed in C, C++, Power Builder, SQL.
You're a true developer then.
Java, and the list goes on and on and on, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's different than for you because you have never done that, right?
Yeah. Yep. True.
You haven't had this experience with other programming languages.
No, just Python. I got kind of deep
still,
in that.
Man, but it's still I can't keep up with UiPath development because they change so much. They add new features so much. I remember when I first started, my first automation I had to loop through files, right?
Yeah.
So this is very vividly in my mind. So I used a for loop. At the time, there was for loop or one or two variations of for loop.
Yep.
Just this week, I was working with a friend of mine doing a quick automation just to copy files from one folder to another, from one server to another server. So we created 4,000 files. We created this automation in 10 minutes. And when I typed for each, there was for each folder in a folder, for each file in a file, for each this, for each that. There was 15 variations of the for each activity, which in the end, all of them are the same. It's just a for each.
Yeah.
The difference is the type of object you are looping through, right?
That's so
but
crazy.
It's different activities that serves a different purposes.
Yeah.
That you it depends on what you are trying to do, right?
That's so crazy. I still remember trying to, and to your point, like the way that they do these for each systems, I remember when they were only like one or two, right? And you had to figure out the way. I remember how we used to do it, because if it didn't take the right input data, like you had to change the data structure, right? You had to like have like an assign activity, and you had to convert the data structure from one data type to another data type, and then you could feed it into a for each loop. And that was so crazy. I remember the days when you had to sort of like figure out how do I first get it to where I can put it through, because a guy who doesn't have computer science as a background, and it's coming from like a process engineering background, it's sort of a situation where I just start plugging in things until it works. I'm just trying to get through the happy path, just drive it through to get the end results. And I remember going into some of those for each loops, and you'd think that you got it down, and then you're like right lining something, and it's just has like data type, and there's no actual data value, and you're like, what the hell happened? And it was like data.row, but like, where's the actual data? Like, and then trying to like walk through what you did to get the data. So now it sounds like they've taken care of most of that. Sounds like some other people too have had similar experiences, but yeah, it's crazy. The platform's so big now. You know, they have entire departments building stuff and putting in new features. How can we keep up?
Yeah, no, they are growing as fast as they can, and it's so amazing how they are adding new features all the time, all the time. Every new major version, they add so many new things. And even minor versions, minor versions usually they just fix problems. But every new major version, there is something new, man. And you know now, next time you need to do the same thing, like it's different. And that to me, it's kind of it can be a problem, right?
Yeah,
especially for developers, because it's so hard to keep up. As I said, I grew up developing C++, C, Java, and those languages, they are pretty much very, very the same for long years. Of course, they deploy new features, new things, but they don't vary as much as UiPath, right? The same C++ that I used to work 15, 20 years ago, if I go right now, it's going to be very, very similar. Probably new libraries that are going to do some specialized things or some framework, right? But if you want to do the same thing again, the same thing that you did like 15 years ago, you can probably do the same way you did 15 years ago.
Yeah, and I think I've already seen
UiPath is just not like that.
No, you're right. I think I've even seen it too, right? We've probably talked about it on a previous episode, but you have developers coming out now that are just, and I've said this for a while, but they're saying that the Re framework is kind of ass at this point, right? It was great and it served its purpose, but it needs to be reconfigured, right? It hasn't withstood scaling and the test of time. And to your point, like this question popped in my brain as you were kind of talking about that, but what does it even mean for best practices at this point when the solution evolves so rapidly? Is that sort of just like a smokescreen? Like, I feel like different developers, like you as a developer versus what I am as a developer and what we've been taught from our companies as best practice, like what does that even actually mean? And does that get lost when you have so many new technologies all kind of evolving so quickly? I feel like what does that even mean anymore?
Man, that's such a good question, because best practices can mean so many things in different contexts, right?
Yeah.
And you are right. I think best practices are going to be very localized, right? My company may have some best practices that do not apply to your company. And I, as a node school developer, may have different best practices that you as a new developer may not have. So it's a very subjective question, right? And I totally agree. And I feel that the reframework in a way tries to implement some best practices, right? So we already talked about this in the past. So the RE framework may not be the most or the better framework possible.
Yeah.
But it's something that gets the job done in a way,
I do
and
agree.
sets the standard for a lot of places, right? But
it's not the.
I totally.
It reminds me too. It's like I was gonna say. It's not the best practice, but it's the bestest one we have. You know, it's like even though.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So I totally hear when people say, "Oh, we get the RE framework and we create our own version better," right? Oh yeah, go for it, man. If you have the skills, and if you know how to do it, if you know how to get it better, go for it and do it, right? Because yes, there are ways of getting this framework better, and we have seen this in. There's so many other examples, right?
Yeah.
People that have got this framework in this language and created something different and better. See, get the Linux, right? Linux OS system. There are so many variations that work better for specific scenarios, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
And they just do it, right?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of scenarios too where, you know, as you mentioned, best practices are being created. I saw this amazing scalable framework that was sort of archaic when it comes to the intake, which was Excel based, but there was no framework in itself. What you can imagine is this sort of like configuration file, like how we used to always have a config file for RPA bots, but most of your data around your process was all in this config information versus being coded in, and you just had stacks of activities. And basically, there's a flag, and each, like you can imagine, a row in an Excel that was one step. You know, download this file, convert this file, right, or put file in a new shared location. Just these lists of all sorts of activities. And there was a library of this functionality, and depending on whether the flag was on or off, the bot would just grab this config file and then process all of these config lines. And then depending on, again, what the flag was off, it would skip this line. It wouldn't do this functionality or wouldn't do this. And they were basically able to take this, and after they'd done that dozen or so automations, they had this massive workbook config file that they could just take the different units. And it did half of the work already. So if you needed it to log into this system, just click yes. If you needed it to grab an Excel, just click this yes, right? And it would give you the opportunity to do it. And that was something completely different from the RE framework, but it had, you know, there were for each loops, there was baked in catch, try catch built in, if you needed that for error handling. So very interesting concept. So yeah, I think that there's a lot to be said. And with a platform that continues to evolve, do I even need to worry about building a RE framework if I'm going to be talking to an agent to build my automations for me?
Well, I was about to ask you that, because what is the best practice that the agentic automation is going to leverage, right? And honestly speaking, as a developer with almost 2 decades of experience, I don't feel comfortable in letting an AI doing my code, my entire code. But I am a developer. I'm not a business person, right? So when I write something, I want to be the fastest possible. I want to be the best code that I can possibly do it. And I want to be very good, very reliable, scalable, shareable, everything possible.
Yeah.
But if I am a business user, and I get that, if I'm a business user, I don't care.
You don't care. You don't care, right?
I simply don't care about the code. I just want my process to be automated, right? So it's a very complex question, right? How the code is being built. So if I am a business user and I create an automation on the fly, just simply asking the agentic prompt, create an automation that is going to do this process that I just described. What is the code that is going to be behind?
Yeah.
Is there anybody that is going to look and try to make it better, or is the company just saying, okay, the agent created, so thumbs up, let's move it to production?
I mean, what? That's so crazy. It's gonna take such an interesting turn because, like you said, let's roll it out into production. Like, what does that even mean, right? Business users have access to real-time systems too. An operations manager who's managing sales for an account, you know, in the distribution space, you know, he doesn't. There's no dev environment to him in SAP, right? What he works through every day is, you know, or with Salesforce, right? The applications that he uses, he's not working through these environments. Everything's live. So raised to production, dude. I've worked for organizations, I think I mentioned it, where they'll have a portfolio of 1,000+ citizen developed automations that are just in the business. When I was at USAA, literally, and other companies, part of the work that I've had to do was, hey, you have the automation program and you guys are building automation solutions. Go out there and take all of those crap one-shot automations that the business is doing and convert them to real bots because they're just breaking and then the people leave. So I don't, you know, what do you do? I don't want to be, it would be horrible to be a part of an automation platforms team and all you're doing is code reviews and changing people's codes because the business typed up a bot and they don't even know what it does. You know, so how do you stop businesses from leveraging these tools? Or I don't know. It's a question I don't think that's being answered yet, right? I don't think anybody's answering these questions yet.
I don't feel they are asking these questions, right? Because when we were at Forward, and I get the UiPath is trying to sell it. It's not sell. It's trying to show up the best they have it. And again, these are cool features.
Yeah.
Everything that they showed there are very awesome, but it comes with a cost, right?
Dude,
effects and
bro,
yeah, go ahead.
No, you got me too. I'm thinking too. You just gave me an idea for a topic that we should file for and try to present at next year's UiPath Together, a Bots and Beers topic. And it's about agentics, you know, the first part, this is fluff, we'll figure it out, but basically agentics is here. What questions do you need to be answering? Right? Not what questions to ask. And you and I can go through all of these things from an infrastructure perspective. Like, dude, have you thought about this yet? Have you thought about that? And here's how you answer this call, or here's how you answer this risk. And I mean, it's great. Like you said, all this functionality is great and cool, but from an infrastructure perspective, from a governance perspective, nobody knows what they're dealing with yet, right? I don't think at the big picture level.
Well, governance it's such a big question that I don't even know how to get started.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to RPA, core RPA, that's very simple, easy to deal with.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about that. Of course, if anybody has questions, I'm more than happy to help. But that's a very easy problem to solve.
Yeah.
But now, when it comes to anything other than core RPA, document understanding, task mining, AI center,
communications mining, all of that,
agentic communications mining, the governance is such a headache, man. I don't know, and that's why I'm studying this, because we are on the verge to. Sorry, my dog is.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great.
Bugging me. So we are on the verge. Sorry, I can't speak on that. But here's the thing. If I were to deploy document understanding today or anything that needs AI, I don't know how the operations would look like, right?
Yeah.
Being on the enterprise, being on the platform side. I don't know how many roles I would have to set up to say, you, Jeremy, you are going to be accountable for the machine learning models, right?
Yeah.
Because on our company that you and I have, there's someone responsible for the machine learning models,
Yeah.
right? Now, the other person on your side is going to be responsible for updating those models, right? Or making sure that the data we are sending to the model to be trained is sanitized somehow, is not production data. Or, there's so many questions
Oh
that I
man,
have that I don't
dude.
know the answer when it
Yeah.
comes to that.
And you think about like if you've deployed if you've deployed document understanding at scale, and by scale I mean, are you touching like 500,000 documents, multi-page documents, dozens and dozens of variations across vendors, and when you have that awareness and you sit down with the developers, because like you said, who manages that model, right? I know from my
Yeah.
experience working with companies and how they typically do it, but the answer is essentially nobody. There's not a guy, there's not Joe who has been tagged. And it's even like, I don't know how far you've went down the rabbit hole with DU, but like the way that the models are trained and how it goes to retraining models or configuring models, and like truly understanding, like I have the out of the box model for DU. Now I've trained the model and I have a certain skill set, but now I need to upskill this model. Do I maintain the original model so it's working well against this existing population? Do I make a duplicate model with these new training points? Like, dude, the rabbit hole gets very deep. And as soon as you start talking quite technical, you're in a scenario where a lot of your business users and even technical people, I've seen VPs that don't understand at the ground level how these models operate, right? And then is it on-prem? Is it off-prem? Are they sending my data? Is the model being trained with my information, or does my information train my local model? All of these things, and nobody's really owning it. And this is a scenario, like you said, where we're converging in a space that, like, what is the line? Where is the line between automation and what we've been doing for the last 20 years, Joe, to what it's historically been, to now automation as a platform that has AI embedded across the tech stack, right? And so we're leveraging AI and machine learning models and computer vision inside of our technology, but nobody's owning the authenticity or the validity or the effectiveness of those models except our small teams, right? And the requirements on those teams will continue to grow, right? It's not like we're going to be asking less of AI. Maybe the bubbles burst or whatnot, but I'm still bullish on where generative AI is going to head when you start putting agents together with agents, and I don't think that that's even close to done yet. So yeah, Joe, we've already 10 minutes past our normal. I let us go a little bit longer because we had the little video and audio thing where we're trying to refine it. So let the group get their money back from that perspective. But man, we're like 10 minutes over, bro. I don't want to. We start talking about agentics again right now, we'll be here for another hour.
Well, I wish we could.
we got to save something for next episode, Joe. We're wrapping up season 1 soon, so.
Oh yeah, so wrapping this up, yeah, I noticed we were past time, but yeah, the conversation is such a great topic, man.
Yeah,
and
same.
as you said, we can get out of this rabbit hole that we don't see the end, right? We just keep going further and further and further, and asking questions and getting no answers, and just getting better perspectives out of it. But anyway, we can leave this to the next episode. Yeah, man. So season 1. So now we are settled that yes, we are ending our season 1 in a few weeks.
Yep.
So mid December, closer to Christmas
Yep.
like.
Hmm.
We are planning our ending, and then early January or mid January we resume the season 2. I'm so excited, and can we talk about plans here, or
Yeah,
should
why
we
not?
book a
Absolutely. People
separate meeting
here,
for that?
we can obviously, I think we'll hash out more in separate calls, but I mean, yeah, no doubt. I mean, people who've been around here to
Yeah.
have been hanging out to see how the sausage was being made, right? Why not let them in on what we're doing? So yeah, absolutely.
because because when we were at Forward, we spoke to Vibor,
Yep.
and Vibor is this great guy, this great character. He's
Yes.
such a great character, man. I want to bring him to the end of season 1. The great ending.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, absolutely. Let's do it. Let's get on the books. Let's get the calendar plan, and we'll get him. Maybe that'll be our last stop on season 2 too. So we'll get him here, get his feedback. He agreed to come on the show, so I think that's great. And I have an idea. Like we already talked. I want to get one of our guys on. It's in theme for season 2, so we'll coordinate that. I know we're going to have bigger, even better guests and some returning guests, right? So I'm excited for all that too. But yeah, let's get him on to close out the season. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, so I'm going to make that happen. I will make the arrangements. But man, it's been such a great time. Every episode we have something new. We start out of nothing on each episode, and then we just dive in on these conversations, and we explore new perspectives, and then we just turn left and start something different.
Talking about male emotions, I love it.
Out of nothing again.
Right?
Yeah, so like today we were all this emotional conversation, and then all of a sudden we start talking about certification. So that's awesome. And this is what I like, right? Having these long-term conversations and exploring the topics, because again, interviews are great. They bring a lot of value, but
agreed.
Being like just asking questions and getting answers, you just get so much.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I agree.
You don't go to the bottom of every topic. So this is what I like of this show. But man, yeah, that's awesome. What about you?
Dude, I love it, man. This has been a time coming, right? I love it. I love that we're wrapping up season 2. If you're listening now or you're live, look up Joe on LinkedIn. He just made a post. If you can get in there and like it, tonight is the last night, right? They're cutting it off. You might get a chance for a free voucher. Just go to Joe's post about the free voucher, type I'm in, and we'll make sure that you get your name on the list. Outside of that, thanks for everybody attending. If you're listening on Spotify, thank you so much for your support. We're only going to continue to try to improve this. But Joe, I love you, brother. This is
last thing.
Get it. Yeah.
I want to apologize because today I don't know what happened. My computer, I tested my internet. And
You're good.
It was good.
You're good, bro.
But
no,
my computer, something was broken today.
It's the computer.
And it was just lagging. So I'm gonna blame the technology.
Yeah, we'll take that. It's gonna happen. They're gonna try to throw wrenches in it, but I guarantee you, Joe, you and I will be consistent. We'll get through this. We'll get the people the quality that they want. Have a good evening, friend. Tell your family I said what's up. Hope your daughter and your wife are doing amazing. Outside of that, this grown man's got to get to the bathroom, brother. So I'm wrapping it up.
Thanks, brother.
All right, let's get out of here. All right. Thank you for attending.